Hey everyone, welcome back to You Cannot Give Up, episode 3. It's kind of a special episode because we don't have a guest with us. Gene and I are actually just going to talk about, our thoughts on the rebuild of Evangelion movies and what we think might happen in the upcoming Evangelion 3.0 plus 1.0, Thrice Upon a Time.
Thrice.
Thrice Upon a Time. So again, I'm Terence Claxon, and my co-host...
I'm Gina Versa. I'm really excited to join you this recording to talk about the rebuilds.
Yeah, so if you want, Gene, you can actually, because you kind of laid out everything for this episode. If you want to take the reins of this one, you definitely can.
All right, so we're talking the Evangelion rebuilds, which I believe, well, at least stateside, first released in 2007, the first one. And we're talking about these because finally, for us over here in America, we're getting the last rebuild movie, which has been out in Japan for a while now. I believe since like February or something, right? Or March. March.
It's been a good 6 months, probably.
Yeah. And we've steered clear of spoilers, right?
Yeah, I don't know anything about it.
All right, so yeah, we don't know anything, so no one tweet us any spoilers, please. But just kind of going right into it, I think because me and Terrence have talked about the rebuilds just in our free time, I think it's a little bit been divisive among the fandom. So just talking about that, what are your thoughts on the rebuild, Terrence?
I like them because they look beautiful. The animation in all three current movies they're just really good, and they put a lot of time into them. I mean, think about it. The first movie came out 06/07, so it's been a long time. They spent a lot of time on these films. I try to think of it as a completely separate entity than NGE and End of. I try not to compare the two because in my head, there's the series verse and then there's the rebuild verse, and if you try to compare the two, it's kind of they're whole two separate animals. Right. But I really like the rebuilds, despite a lot of criticism.
Yeah, I was gonna. I actually, this will lead to another question. I watched all the rebuilds last year during COVID.
Yeah.
It was kind of I spread it out throughout the month, so maybe I had a similar experience. People that were waiting long periods of time between these rebuilds because they're notoriously kind of lagged it. We love Ano, but he's not the best keeper of time. Sometimes it seems like.
Oh, I'm the same way. Like I feel I procrastinate a lot, or at least I let things stack up because of just like being busy and time constraints, and definitely how it goes.
Yeah, but you've never taken like 7 years in between a movie.
No, definitely not.
But going into this, because I'm a fairly new Evangelion fan, I think these were a different kind of experience for me. I actually really enjoyed the three films on its own merit. They reminded me of for Marvel Comics, there's the main universe, and then there was the Ultimate Universe, if anyone is familiar with that. Because I'm a big comic fan. It felt like that, where this was like Ano going back and reinterpreting these characters. So I thought that it was an interesting, not relaunch or a reboot, but an interesting revisit of these characters. So that's what I'll say about that. Terrence, what was how did you watch these? What was your experience?
Okay, so I remember I saw a digital copy of 1.0. I guess technically it's 1.11. Were those the home releases?
Yeah.
I saw that maybe around like 2010, 2011. And then around that time, I thought, I'll just start buying the Blu-rays. So I bought 1.0 and 2.0, or 1.11 and 2.22. around like 2012, 2013, probably around the time that 3.0 had just come out. And then eventually I pre-ordered 3.33. So I saw all of them on their respective Blu-ray releases, which were all done by Funimation. Yeah. And then I rewatch them with friends every once in a while. And then, but to be honest, I haven't seen each one more than 2 times.
Okay.
I've seen the series and end of at least a good 4 or 5 times each.
Yeah.
But the rebuilds I haven't rewatched as much.
Yeah. It's I thought they're interesting looks at these characters, because there are instances where like you wouldn't see certain scenes in anime, like I believe it's in the third one, or the second one, excuse me, the second one, where Ray's trying to get Gendo to like go to this like birthday or something.
Yeah, like a dinner party.
Dinner party, that's right. Yeah, the dinner party, and I'm like, oh, that's a neat scene. That's like that's different than what we would have in the anime with like Gendo just being just a fucking asshole.
Yeah.
So that was cute. I maybe had like one issues where they felt a little fan servicey, and you know the type of fan service I'm talking about. Like they recreate that one the scene with I think it's like Shinji and the shower, and then they do the shower scene with Asuka, and I'm like, okay, like I know what you're trying to do, Ano.
Yeah.
So besides that, I felt that for the most part, this was a more unique look at these characters, and they kind of gave them more depth. Some characters like darn, I'm forgetting his name. Who's the character that plots the Eva, the fourth Eva, and then Shinji almost kills him? The bully. Toji. Yeah, like Toji and some of the other supporting cast, they get really shortchanged. But like, I'm not a big Toji fan, so sorry for anyone that is.
I actually watched some video essays just to kind of prepare for today. It didn't change my opinions of the movies at all. So it was just interesting to see what they said. And someone mentioned how Ano made it so that instead of Toji piloting an Eva, he had Asuka pilot the Eva in 2.22. And in the series, Shinji was forced to fight Toji, or at least I think he was forced to decommission that Eva, and Toji dies in the process.
Yeah.
But instead, he switched it out with Asuka, and I actually don't remember what happens after that. But they brought up the point that, like, in the series, Shinji had to basically, Toji was kind of like his best friend, even though they had a rough start. And that kind of emotional impact of having to basically, hurt your best friend or kill your best friend.
Yeah.
That was a big deal in the series, but not giving that type of, not giving Toji that kind of send off in the movies is kind of sad.
Yeah, he kind of gets forgotten about in that in that fourth film, or excuse me, the third film, where it's just like his sister is shown, and like I think you don't know what becomes. I guess he died, but I mean, like aspects of the original series gets a little lunch, but again, this is a reinterpretation. I guess that leads me to the next point, where Ano said in an interview somewhere he was finally able to recreate Eva as he wanted it to be in the beginning, and he was no longer constrained by budget limitations, which was, I guess, a jab at Gainax for obvious reasons.
I mean that's interesting, because it's a very it's a Lucasian. Is that what you would say? A Lucasian?
Right. He's trying to
where he finally gets to realize his vision, but like, I don't know. I mean, NGE is so fleshed out. What else? What could he have wanted to do with these characters that would have made such like a big difference in these rebuilds? but I can see what he means.
Well, he does make Shinji more of a protagonist because I guess that's such a, and I think that's like a bad faith criticism of Shinji. Like he doesn't do anything in the original series. It's like no, he does a lot. It's just he's a reluctant protagonist, and you know, he doesn't heed like a call to action as soon as whatever, but he does still react to what's going on with him. But they do make him a little bit more proactive in these films.
Yeah, I guess in the films they do beat up on Shinji a lot more than the series, whereas in the series it is kind of a give and take in terms of the type of toxicity they give to each other. Shinji is kind of a little shit, and he is kind of weird and creepy and a lot of these things. But in the films, I guess he is portrayed more as like I don't know.
I think it's
I guess
he's more of like an action hero.
Yeah, like an action hero. Or would you say he's sort of like a messianic type like character, like a messiah type?
I'd have to think about that because I think like it's hard to say because like in the original series he does kind of play some of the similar roles. So I don't know. I'd have to think about that, but I wouldn't say necessarily because he doesn't like sacrifice himself. He just
true.
He causes destruction by his
he causes
action.
other people to sacrifice themselves.
Yeah, so I don't know. I think I would disagree with that.
Okay. I forgot what I was going to say. But go on.
No, I think we're just talking about like what different aspects of these characters you could show that he didn't in the original series. I think really the prime example is just Rei and Shinji that were showed a little bit more of. I think Asuka's about the same. I love Asuka as a character, but like he's pretty much like the same sort of Asuka we saw in the series. I think Rei has a lot more to do, just given more agency, and this is a character, for better or worse, Anno has said like, "Oh yeah, I forgot about her."
Yeah. So in this, in the rebuilds, you see that Shinji actually deeply loves Rei.
Yes.
He doesn't really showcase any of that until the very end of the series and end of Evangelion.
Right.
But
when she dies.
In rebuilds, he, I believe in the beginning of 3.0, I think the Unit 0 is attacking the airship, I believe, in the beginning.
Yeah.
And they want to destroy it, but I think Shinji doesn't want to because he believes Rei is inside Unit 0. I think they just kind of make it so. It is interesting because we already know that Rei, in essence, is Yui or his mom. I guess it's her soul that's embedded into. Like one thing that people criticize about the series is that they don't really tell you that it's not that Shinji has to pilot the Avas because his dad just wants him to. The reason why they want him to is because he's the only one. Because that whole mind meld thing between his soul and his mom's soul, which is inside Unit 1, he's the only one that can effectively pilot the Unit 1.
That's correct.
And the whole bond between his mom's soul in the Ava, his mom's soul in Rei, and it's much more solidified in the rebuild movies than it was in the series.
Yes. He answers more questions. I think that's that's one of the main reasons to watch these movies. So it's like almost like, do you remember did you watch Lost?
I actually didn't watch a lot of Lost.
Yeah. Got it. Okay. Well, Lost with their release on home video and media, whatever, they had epilogues to Lost, and they're like, yeah, these questions that you're curious about, now we're going to answer them. Like, thematically, we've concluded everyone's arc. We do know that there are some questions left to be answered, and we're going to answer them here. The rebuilds kind of remind me of that, where they're like, all right, we know you have lingering questions, fans. I'm going to do my best to try to answer some of them, and or make things more clear. So I think that's, if fans are curious, or because I've like ran into people, they're like, I have no idea what happened. And I'm like, well, you gotta, if you watch it again, and if you go to some of the wikis, it's all there. It's all spelled out. It's a little difficult to understand at times, and I mean, but it's not impossible to figure out the anime. So,
no, definitely. And the thing is, like, the thing about Eva, it's like you have to watch it multiple times.
Yes.
I mean, I know it's like sometimes it actually is kind of bothersome because of how emotionally heavy the series is. So watching it just for story and plot, specifically just for that, is it takes an emotional toll because you have people screaming or crying throughout the whole series.
Yeah. But I think I was just gonna say a big draw with the movies, the rebuilds is these questions get answered. So maybe that's what Anno meant by that, as opposed to he got it. He didn't get his everything done in terms of like what his vision was in the first time. I think he just wanted to answer more. My speculation. Do you have like a personal favorite of these films, Terence?
Yeah, I actually like 1.11 or 1.0 the best. I know it's weird because it's just almost a shot-for-shot remake of the first couple episodes.
Yeah.
But that's why I like it, because I get to rewatch these scenes, but in like HD, in a cinematic quality, and it's just larger than life. It just seems like a bigger production than the series was. But the 2 and 3 come really close because even though they're reimaginings, and I mean, it doesn't bother me that they do stray from the series a lot, because I mean, come on, look how many reboots of Batman, Superman, Spider-Man, X-Men, Fantastic Four, sadly, like no one really gets that angry over Western superhero reboots. It's just that when anime does it, people kind of get annoyed because it breaks canon.
Well, these angry nerds.
Which is interesting to say, because like in comic books, I mean, when there's like a big event that resets the status quo, there's always a linking event that makes everything still pretty canon. Unless it's like a weird what if, or like it's a one shot that the canon is dubious. But in anime, if they want to reboot something, they don't care. They'll just reboot it and not give a shit about the past production or the past series.
Yeah.
So to have like a whole retelling of Evangelion that has nothing to do with the original series is pretty cool.
Yeah.
But I know that pisses off a lot of people.
Well, I was gonna say, there's already been reimaginings through the manga.
Mm-hmm.
The manga has a totally different ending.
Yeah.
There are romance games of the show. There's like a bunch of games that have different endings, reinterpretations. So, why is that okay? But like this movie redoes things, and then everyone gets mad. So, kind of,
Yeah, there's I think it's called, I don't remember. I think it might be Eva at School. That's the one where it's a Shinji and Rei and Asuka, and it's like a school drama.
Yeah.
There's a ton of manga reinterpretations that have alternate canons, and everyone, for the most part, just devours them in Japan.
Mm-hmm.
Like they really are like the MCU of
we made
Japan.
that. We have made that point multiple times, but it's very true that this is like the MCU. Yeah. I was just going to add, my favorite is actually the second one. I think the second one, which is when they diverged from this timeline, I think is the most interesting. Like, because all this stuff with Kairu that you see
Mhm.
at the beginning of that movie, it kind of implies, or at least maybe Kairu is aware that these events have happened before, and
Mhm.
now events are happening quite a little different. So I think that this movie is almost like this like timeline. This so I'm trying to think of the right words, but it's like a change in the timeline, and the movie's
Oh,
consciously aware of that.
so oh
So
wow, so it might be actually be canon then.
maybe I don't
I
know. I
mean,
mean, like I
same
don't think.
canon, I guess.
Yeah, I'm not sure, but like if you watch that movie, Cairo at least is aware that you know things have happened similar
Mhm.
before. So putting
That's
that in,
interesting.
yeah. So yeah, that's my favorite. I was gonna say, is there anything because these movies are similar but different? Is there anything that's actually better than the original anime that you felt like they handled things a little bit better in terms of the choices they made in their storytelling?
Mm,
Because I
uh,
did I was gonna say I did show like all the Gendo stuff is in all the Gendo things I think are handled a little bit better.
yeah, someone in one of the essays mentioned that Gendo is more of a badass in the
Okay.
movies than he is in the series, and that's kind of true. Gendo is
Yeah.
just kind of a like everyone roots for Darth Vader because he's a
Hmm.
badass, even though he's kind of a piece of shit. But
Right.
Gendo in the series is just a piece of shit. He's not a
Yeah.
badass. So I guess that's pretty true. I guess they did handle Gendo a lot better.
Yeah. So yeah, I guess we're both in agreement. They had him. I think Ray has a little bit more agency. So they did handle some stuff better, and I think also because I think we've talked about this off air. Mari is a good character, I
Mhm.
think, even though some fans don't like her. Fill people in on that.
Yeah, when I was in a anime store probably like in 2013, maybe
Okay.
2012, and I was buying some Ava merch, and I asked them how much a Mari figure was, and the guy behind the counter just said, "Oh, you mean that fake character?" I'm like, "What?"
Jeez.
The girl that was working with him says she's not a fake character. He's like, "Yeah, she doesn't exist. She's not real." And they kind of bickered back and forth while I was just watching, just like,
You're like, hey, I just want to buy this.
what's going on? And can I just buy these shoes with the goldfish in them, please? Was that from 40-Year-Old Virgin? When Jonah Hill was
Oh
trying to buy
yeah,
like those weird shoes.
yeah. It's like the things you see on eBay store or something.
Yeah, but yeah, that was pretty funny, and I didn't get it because at the time, I actually it must have been before 2012 because at the time I hadn't seen 2.22 yet.
Mm.
So I'm like, why is she a fake character? So I think that year I actually did finally watch 2.22 and 3.0 after that, and I'm like, oh, I get it. They just added this girl in there.
Right.
I personally liked her because she
Yes.
represents, excuse me, she represents the demographic in mech pilots that have glasses.
Okay.
So there's finally
Yeah.
that representation. I do know that, I'm pretty sure that Studio Kara, or I think that's Ano's studio. I think they just added it in there because they needed to make more merch and they needed. I mean, think about it. Okay, so
Yeah.
you got Ray
Oh my
toys,
God.
or sorry, you got Asuka toys, you
Yeah.
got Ray
Ray.
toys, you got Shinji toys with his arm fell off. Um, but the thing is,
Uh-huh.
a lot of these characters are too extreme. So you got
Yeah.
Tsundere, which is Asuka. You got Rei, who's just a depressing character.
Right.
You got Shinji, which is a whiny teenage boy.
Also depressed.
They kind of needed a kawaii, kind of more happy-go-lucky-ish
Yeah.
type character, and that's why they needed Mari because Misato is, I think, too old for maybe the type of people who want a kawaii type character. So that's kind of why I think they added Mari. Even though Misato is best girl, but
yeah, I love Misato, but yeah, I mean it makes sense in terms of, I guess, because this is a product at the end of the day. But yeah, I guess it did make sense. But I think just as a character herself, I think she was an interesting addition. I don't know if any people will try to argue with me, but
people will fight you on that. I'm pretty sure.
Oh man, I'm afraid I'm gonna put my Twitter to private, but I think she added a lot to these movies in the context of the 2 films she was in.
You think Q is gonna come after you for making those comments?
Who's gonna come after me?
Q.
Who's that?
QAnon.
Oh God. Oh my God.
I don't know that Q was behind Mari.
Yeah, so I was gonna say I sent this thing to Terence. I know we're getting a little off topic, but I finished Q Into the Storm, and there's a scene because they reveal that Q is the son of 4chan or 8chan's creator, Ron Watkins, or whatever he is, and he's a big Ray fan because you see that there's a big ass Ray statue in his room, and I'm like, oh my God, this is the guy that's influencing American elections. He's a big Ray fan, so if anyone wants to know who Q's best girl is, apparently it's Ray, and not Donald Trump, apparently.
Man, what do you think Donald Trump's best girl is in Ava?
A cheeseburger.
I feel like it's Retsuko.
It's okay. I don't know. I don't know. Maybe Risco or maybe Ray. I don't know. Try not to think about that terrible.
Who do you think Biden's best girl is?
I think Biden's would be
Mari.
No, I think it would be Asuka.
Okay.
Yeah, for whatever reason. Don't quote me on that.
Yeah.
Do you have any thoughts? Because you've been a fan of Ava longer than me on the delays. You did touch on that, but the delay between these films, because Anno did go in between 3 and 4 to make Shin Godzilla, which we love. I love that movie. I think you love that movie.
It's great.
But sometimes these things do happen. Do you have anything in your knowledge that could kind of explain why there were such huge delays?
I mean, it was pretty much just him not wanting to disappoint. I guess he wanted to make it right because this is going to be the end of Evangelion finally. Yeah. But if you look at how many projects he keeps getting, I know all of this kind of just happened recently, but he got signed on for Shin Kamen Rider and Shin Ultraman.
Yep.
So he is now he transitioned from being the Quentin Tarantino of Japan to the J.J. Abrams of Japan, where they're giving him the biggest IPs in the country.
He deserves it.
He does deserve it. I think he's the only one that can do it. I think he's the only one that wants to, because I don't think anyone wants to mess up Kamen Rider or Ultraman, and he doesn't care.
Yeah.
He doesn't really care because it's his legacy. When he when he finally ascends through instrumentality, his legacy will be that he created one of the biggest IPs in Japan, and he took over some of the biggest IPs in Japan. So
his Godzilla movie, I think, is my second favorite Godzilla film after the original one. I like it more than the legendary Godzilla.
I think it would probably be mine too, but I do really like Godzilla 2000.
Oh, okay.
That movie is so hilarious.
Yes, I was gonna say, did you watch the dub of that movie?
I did because I saw it on HBO, or maybe not HBO, but cable when I was a kid.
Yeah, it could have been on Sci-Fi Channel.
Yeah, it could have been, and the dub is so hilarious.
Oh my God, I remember because I had the VHS of the dub as a kid. This line, which has never left my memory, it's they developed this new missile to stop Godzilla, and the guy says, and I quote, it's in the dub, he says, these missiles will go through Godzilla like shit through a goose, and it's I've never heard that saying before. That's not
an expression.
That's not a thing. No one says it, and why would shit go through a goose like a missile through a giant lizard?
Yeah.
Oh my god,
Um,
that's that. That do you remember that line or no?
I vaguely remember it because I haven't
Yeah,
seen it in a long time.
that dub. And then it also has that line at the end where Godzilla's wrecking this whole city after he beat Orga, the
Yeah,
space monster, and they're like the son. There's like a family, and the dad's talking to his daughter. He's like, maybe there's just a little Godzilla in all of us, and Godzilla's just like
yeah.
rampage.
Oh, I
Just
remember that one. Is it Godzilla 2000 where they actually kill 98 Godzilla?
No, that's Godzilla Final Wars, which was supposed
Oh,
to be the
okay.
last movie. There's a really excellent scene because if anyone, and we are getting a little off topic, but it's all right. If anyone doesn't know, Toho hates
Yeah,
Godzilla 98. They hate
yeah,
it with a passion, like we all should, because
yeah,
that's not a good movie. And they actually have the rights to that character,
yeah,
who they have named Zilla because they're like, he
yeah,
doesn't deserve the god. And there's
yeah,
a scene where Godzilla and Zilla face off in Sydney, and Zilla lunges at him. Godzilla swipes his tail, kicks him into the Sydney Opera House,
yeah,
and uses his atomic breath and just kills him. And they're like, "That's it. You'll never see this character again."
yeah,
But it's like that's their statement, and I'm like, I love that about Toho. That Toho is just like they're so protective of those characters that they're willing to like throw shade and throw
yeah.
salt.
Well, the one thing that that like the American releases, or I guess the was it Legendary that did 98 as well?
No,
That
Legendary
was
wasn't.
Fox,
That was Sony.
Sony. Okay.
Because Legendary, I don't think they were formed as a company yet.
One
Yeah.
thing that that Legendary doesn't get, or even 98 Godzilla don't get, is that the Godzilla movies are supposed to be fun. They're supposed to be like, I mean, they're guys in suits, so
Yeah.
how serious can it be? They're supposed to be a little campy. They're supposed to be like that, have that Doctor Who-ish quality where the
Yes.
stories are kind of weird, or
Which is
they
why
don't
I
make
love
it.
Godzilla versus Kong so much.
Yeah, I guess it does. It is kind of a return to form with Godzilla versus Kong, because that is it's very Doctor Who-ish, where as in like the the tone or the mood is still very much, it's like a comic book. Um, but anyway, so
No, sorry, it's going on a Godzilla tangent, but I think just going on delays, they do happen. Ano is like a perfectionist, so hey, he's not like George R. R. Martin.
yeah,
He managed to at least finish this, which we cannot say about the Game of Thrones books. So that's a takeaway. Congratulations,
yeah.
Ano.
I actually don't mind that there's delays, because when I watched Ava for the first time, it had already been out for several years, so I wasn't one to. The only movie I did wait for is 3.0, because I had already seen 1.0 and 2.0 before it came out.
Yeah.
But End of Evangelion and the original series, they were already out, I think, for at least maybe 10 years by the time I watched all of them in complete, completely, because I had watched a couple episodes in like 96, 97 on VHS when I was a kid.
Yeah.
And a little bit of End of Evangelion when I was like a teenager, but yeah.
Okay. Well, I guess that goes to our next point. Over here in the United States, we're still waiting. The movie is scheduled to release on Amazon. I'm blanking on the date right now, Terrence,
It's
but
August 13th.
August 13th. Thank you. I guess, what are our expectations going into this film?
It's gonna suck. No, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. Well, I feel like I think because everyone's been fairly good at like not spoiling it.
Yes, thank God.
I think that means it's good.
Okay.
Because people would be like, "Hey, this is my spoiler-free review of 3.0 plus 1.0, and it fucking sucks." There hasn't been a lot of that. It's just been, no spoilers. I can't talk about it right now, so I'm pretty sure it means that it's really good. But it also could mean it's just wild and it's shocking. It's not necessarily good, but it's just like, what's going on? Why did he make these choices?
Yeah.
That's what I'm also thinking. But the thing about Ano is that he's kind of a visionary. So when you watch Ava, you're just kind of watching how Ano's mind works. You're not necessarily watching a studio making decisions. You're just watching how one man is making decisions. So it's interesting.
Yeah, I think yeah, I'd agree on that because for me, I'm really excited to see what Anno's final statement on this franchise is because he's getting older. He probably doesn't want to revisit these characters, and he's probably so wealthy that he really doesn't have to, and he wants to do like other projects, other avenues. And I think I'm gonna hold him to his word that this is probably gonna be his last Evangelion thing. So I'm just really interested in how does this guy, because they'll probably do other Evangelion stuff like you said it is the MCU, but how does the creator like walk into the sunset on this franchise? So I'm really interested in just seeing what's the last thing he has to say about this. So
Definitely.
my expectations are fairly high.
Yeah, I would say the same, but I don't think I could be disappointed just because I'm happy that he took the time to redo all these, to give us new stories.
Yeah.
Lucas didn't. Lucas did the opposite by going backwards, making prequels, and telling stories that, like, to be honest, I don't know if people wanted to hear. I'm glad we got to hear them because I'm not a prequel hater, but
no, I'm not either.
But the thing is, like, I just kind of think that this is something that he really needed to do for himself. So I'm glad. I'm glad he finally got to do it.
Yeah. Well, it's not. Yeah, it's not something like that like is easy because these movies are like all the animation that went into it, all the time and effort. So you really got to hand it to him to actually finish what you start. And again, I think we stated this comes out on Amazon. That was a little crushing for some of us that like the theatrical experience.
Yeah.
Anything that you could say about that? Like, are you disappointed? Are you okay with it? Because I felt like I really wanted to see this in the theater.
Yeah, I mean, 2020 and 2021's Japanese cinematic legacy is basically Demon Slayer because nothing's gonna live up to that release, that box office release in Japan. And I think because in Japan the COVID and the kind of like the shutdown measures that they were having were fluctuating so rapidly because they were good at quarantining and then they weren't, but it was so quick. It would go from like, oh yeah, we're open for like a week. Oh crap, too many people kept going out without masks. So I think Demon Slayer just like slipped in right at that exact sweet spot where everyone was able to go out and see a movie. And I think that
you're in the US.
Well, no, in Japan.
Oh, in Japan, okay.
I just think that there wasn't enough maybe metrics for Studio Kara to go off of, or I guess Funimation to go off of to release it in theaters.
And to clarify, for anyone who's not the fan of Funimation is the company that would release Evangelion and everything Evangelion over here in the United States, correct?
I believe so. So, I mean, that could be it. I want to say that, like, I just think maybe at the time when Amazon and Studio Kara made that deal, it could have just been, or Funimation made that deal, it could have just been like, yeah, we don't know if people are going to go out to theaters and see this, so we don't want to commit to it, so let's just put it on Amazon.
Yeah, because I was going to say, and I hate to speculate, but it was very strange when Evangelion came out in Japan, and it came out, and we were trying to avoid spoilers, but like, all right, when does it come over here? And like a couple months went by, and like, that's, we've kind of dealt with that before. Like, I'm a big Dragon Ball fan, and kind of waiting for the movies and stuff to come over here. Like sometimes it does get frustrating, but like Funimation, they do through their social media or whatever, they do let fans know. But for this one, they were really silent. Like everyone just got silent. And like, it's like May, it's like June, and we still haven't heard anything. You kind of get like, hey, what's going on here? And then in July, they're like, all right, it's going to Amazon. And I'm like, well, that's weird.
Yeah, it's interesting. If you think about the movies that have been coming out on Amazon lately. So we got the Tomorrow War, which was supposed to be kind of a summer blockbuster.
Yes, yeah.
And they could have just waited maybe a couple months, and they could have done a theater release, but I don't know why they committed to Amazon so early.
Yeah.
That was interesting. And then I think something recently came out. I'm not necessarily sure.
Oh, in terms of a movie that went to Amazon, there was another Skydance movie. It was darn, it had Michael B. Jordan. I don't know why I'm blanking.
Without Remorse. Is
yes.
That
yeah.
Yeah, and that seemed like it could have been a theater release.
Yeah.
That is that a Tom Clancy? No, it's not.
It's Tom Clancy because it introduces Rainbow Six.
Yes. So that seems like it could have been a theatrical release. So it's interesting. I wonder if anyone's made any Bezos Evangelion memes yet.
Oh, probably, yeah. I mean, like, you have all the weird sexual sort of what's that word? With the male penis, going off into space. Certainly got a lot of innuendo with that guy. I think he's an Evangelion fan. We know that Elon Musk is an Evangelion fan too because he's tweeted about it.
Do you think Bezos went to space so he could find the spear of Longinus and then?
I think he went into space just because he could just fuck around and find out.
Because he could.
Yeah,
because he has 23 million. I don't remember how much it was.
Because he's the world's richest man and
human.
Yeah, human, and he's an asshole. But you know what? He's still more likable than Elon Musk. So yeah.
We should send Grimes to space.
Oh man, how do we know
she's up there?
Yeah, how do we know she doesn't come from like outer space?
Yeah, I know, that's true.
Yeah, because it's like, she names her child like this alien sounding name.
Pixel Legit. I don't know her name.
I like her music.
Yeah,
like objectively a good artist. But anyway,
I don't know if you saw my tweet last night about. So I wish that they would make a Evangelion spin-off. That's basically that takes place at Nerve HQ, and it's a workplace comedy like The Office, and it's called The HQ. And then it had a gif of Gendo, and then I just put the quote, well, how the turntables, and it's just him doing this. I think that'd be pretty funny.
Oh my god. Oh man. Well, I guess that goes to our last point. Any thoughts on if the franchise will continue after this? Because, where can it go? I mean, the creator has left. What are your thoughts, Terence? You have a wealth of knowledge on everything.
I think because think about how much they can do with Gundam. I think they can do a lot more fun stuff with Eva now that they got all the serious stuff out of the way. So I think they should do probably more games. Or just games in general, like modern Evangelion games, because we don't have them. Maybe a comic book series, technical manuals. It's just merch, more merch. We need more localized merch.
Hey, I think you just want that to buy.
Yeah, basically. But I think
creatively.
I think something that focuses more on the Evas as or Nerve, just as a military force. Treat it like Gundam or treat it like Macross.
Yeah,
because
that's I would agree with that because they mention other countries in the anime and then the movie. They mention the U.S. They mention Germany. Well, I would want to know what the other countries were up to.
You think there's an American Eva?
American Eva has a giant cowboy hat and it's all decked out in stars and stripes, and it has a giant gun. It has a giant
electric guitar.
It has a giant gun too.
Yeah, like a revolver.
Yeah,
and it looks like Charles Bronson.
Yep, that's what the American Eva would be like.
It would just be Transformers.
Yeah,
but Michael Bay's Transformers.
Oh my god! All right. But yeah, I think if the franchise, because We are kind of in this age of like spin-offs and reboots, what have you, which aren't necessarily like a bad thing if creatively you find like a good story to tell, like like things that we haven't seen before, or really a storyline because, excuse me, a storyline that appeals to the fandom. I
Mhm.
would be very interested in that. So that's what I'll say. I'll agree with you and say like, yeah, if they could give us like a spin-off or something, or a prequel that could kind of explore different
Mhm.
elements of the series, I'd be interested in that for sure.
Yeah, I'm interested to see the creation of Sealy or Seal, the creation of Nerve,
Hmm.
how Gendo came to like. I want to see like how do they mention how Yui dies? How does Shinji's mom dies?
Not that I could recall off the top of my head, but
Like if we
they
could see
might.
like Shinji growing up, how did Gendo
Yeah.
become how did he start neglecting Shinji?
Hmm.
Um, I think would be cool though to see Misato as like a newbie at Nerve and kind of like a newbie at HQ and just kind of like working her way up. Her romance with Kaji before it became like abusive and gross.
Yeah.
Just kind of like I don't know, or maybe like a love triangle with Ritsuko and Kaji and her. That'd be pretty interesting.
Yeah.
One thing that I did notice though is that um, I don't remember if in the series was it solidified that Ritsuko was Misato's superior, because in the movies she's her
Yeah.
superior.
I think it might have been implied,
Hmm.
but I don't think it was ever directly stated. Like she calls her like a commander, or she kind of
Hmm.
like. I think she probably does fall rank into her in several scenes, but yeah, I don't think she ever like says like, "Hey, like I have to report to you" or something like that. So
Yeah, and I remember I was watching 1.0 recently, and I don't remember if this is in the series or not, but when they're late coming, or when Misato is late from picking up Shinji, um, Ritsuko says, "You're 12 minutes late, so I came to get you." And she does like one of these, and
oh,
then
okay.
excuse me, yeah, and then she's like, "Oh yeah." She comes up with some excuse, but that was pretty interesting because I always kind of thought that they were equal in
Hmm.
hierarchy, I guess.
Yeah, yeah, but yeah, yeah, I'll have to give a rewatch. Well, I'm
Yeah,
gonna
definitely.
rewatch as we're doing this podcast, so maybe I'll have an answer soon. But I guess that's kind of wrapping up things.
Yeah.
Um, at at the date of this recording, we're anticipating watching the film, so yeah, we'll definitely have to do a follow up to this. But yeah, any final thoughts, Terrence?
No, I guess just if you haven't watched the series yet, go out and watch it. Watch the movies, watch the rebuild movies, watch everything, because that will determine how much you'll enjoy this last movie. I think the weight of it being the conclusion, or what did the trailers call it again? They just say end.
Uh, I think it's like it all ends here, or some sort of like
Yeah, there's like this whole thing that makes it very like
final.
final.
Yeah.
The weight of the movie will rely heavily on how much emotional attachment you have to the series.
Hmm.
I never got that with Rise of Skywalker, because we know that they're
Uh,
going to make more.
uh,
Like we're
uh,
going to make more, so
I've tried to like purge that movie of my mind.
yeah. I don't hate the sequels, but I'm not in love with them,
Yeah.
and I get bummed out when I think about it.
Yep.
But yeah, that's all I have to say. Just basically watch everything, immerse yourself in the series, because even if 3.0 plus 1.0 isn't good, doesn't change the fact that everything else before it actually wasn't
Yeah.
that bad. So
Yeah. Yeah. And we gotta see these characters one more time.
yeah.
So yeah.
Oh, and I want a Pen plush.
Um,
That's all I want.
oh man, I need to buy more merch to beat you as a fan. But anyway, I guess plugs.
Oh
Um,
yeah, so yeah, you can find me at Terrence James. I'm in a band at HBYM_music. Nothing really coming out for that just yet, but yeah, you can find me on those two platforms, and Instagram at Terrence James 87.
Cool. You could find me on Twitter and Instagram, Gene9892. I'm part of another podcast called the Waffle Press Podcast. You can find that on Twitter at the Waffle Press, on Instagram at the Waffle Press Podcast, and we're on all the platforms like YouTube, Spotify, iTunes, and also, subscribe to this podcast. Terrence, what platforms are we on?
Yeah, so hopefully at the time of when this comes out, everything will be on Spotify. I believe Apple, is it Apple Music?
Apple Podcasts.
Apple Podcasts.
Yep.
And then YouTube, so you can see the video aspect of this.
Yeah.
You can see our beautiful faces. And we're not on SoundCloud because I know that's pretty limited unless you're paying for it.
Yeah.
And then I believe another platform would be Buzzsprout.
Okay.
Yeah. So, but we'll put links. We'll update everything in the description, so you'll have everything up to date. And yeah.
Cool. Awesome. And then, Terrence, do you want to close this up?
Yeah, sure. Let's. Even though we don't have a guest here, we should still do it.
Oh yeah.
3, 2, 1. Congratulations. Congratulations, Ano.
Congratulations. Yeah, congratulations, Ano.
All right. Bye. Thank you.